Okay, I think we're going to get started. We tried to give a few more minutes for people to, especially if they were on a previous presentation, to get logged in. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So yes, don't forget to mute yourself. We were asked to be our own moderators. So that's what we're going to do. So just in case everyone can't see, it's free MS products to enhance student employee supervision. That's what this presentation will be about. I'm going to introduce myself and then my colleagues who are helping to give this presentation. My name is Jennifer Bartek. I'm manager of library operations at Bailey Library. And with me, I also have Julie Kearney. She is our library IT generalist. And I also have Deepam Mistry. He is a library technician and supervises students in the print station area and also our technology learning center. And Karen Mason, and she is our evening library assistant supervisor. And she, in the evening, oversees all the student workers who are there, but she primarily supervises students at our info and IMC desks. So a reminder again that this presentation is being recorded for later viewing or reviewing. You can place questions in the chat. We're going to try and save a Q&A for the end, just so we can be sure to make it through the entire presentation. But we will also stay on after end time for additional Q&As, just to let everybody know. So, big question, why did we try to move to something like MS Teams and shifts for supervising our student workers? Well, there was a number of reasons. I'm sure all of you love your student employees. In fact, right now out my window, the university is preparing on the quad a student employee appreciation celebration. So that's kind of cool that that's taken on right now. But there are some needs and challenges of supervising student employees. So I'm going to, in the next few slides, go over some of the challenges that we had. They might be similar to challenges that all of you have as well. The first one is communication. We felt we needed to have some better communication methods outside of just, phone calls and emails, which students don't consistently read. The next slide shows inefficient scheduling and posting of schedules. We were using primarily paper schedules, a little bit outdated. We also wanted to have better real-time method for making changes and updates to our schedule. Lots of things come up with students, whether they have to do something as part of a class, a requirement or whatever, and just, the things that go on in their lives. So we just wanted something to have a better, efficient way of handling our schedules. Difficulty with backup management. Problem if the student employee supervision when the permanent supervisor was away, maybe on vacation or absent, especially if the supervisor's email was the central way of communication. This kind of became a problem. Call-off procedures. Constant question of, who's supposed to be working at this desk? A lack of visibility of changes to the schedule for the whole team, and just the idea of taking over shifts or filling in, not a very equitable process. Wanted to have a central and accessible place for training materials for our library policy manuals and procedures, and perhaps even better options to place resources such as competency or other training modules. This is a recent benefit because just recently, Microsoft Teams and Shifts added a clock-in feature. So for us, this was kind of an improvement because our current system that we were using was not cloud-based. So if our power went out, we had to remember to go and restart where the server, the PC was. Otherwise, students couldn't clock in. We did have to pay for it as well. And the other benefit is that now we're going to have more uniformity and compatibility with our other Microsoft apps. Another thing too that we have discovered in, since we've gone through all this, is there definitely is a benefit for our student employees. This is good preparation and experience for post-graduation professional jobs on employment management and collaboration applications such as Microsoft Teams. And the logos that you see on the screen, these are companies that use Microsoft Teams within their work environment. So all these kind of challenges and things drove us to look for something new and improved. And Julie was familiar with Microsoft Teams and Shifts because she was helping to utilize that with student employees at the IT help desk. So in the summer of 2018, we made a decision to trial and begin the implementation. We started out slow, but we have now evolved to a working application system for everybody. So I'm going to stop sharing here now, and I am going to turn it over to Julie Kearney, who is going to show you about first Microsoft Teams and setting that up, and then also Microsoft Shifts.
Okay, I'm going to start this as if you have not used Teams before, so you know where to find it and how to use it. And I'm going to go kind of quickly, but again, this is being recorded, and Microsoft has tons of resources out there for you to read through to find additional information. But if you log into Office 365, you should find Teams in your left-hand menu, or if it's not there, you can look in your applications and you should find Teams there. And when you go to Teams, if you have not created a team yet, you'll probably find something like this, a blank slate, where you'll go and to create your team, and you'll select to create the team. I always select staff. You'll give your team a name and you can give it a description. I always choose private team. That way you can control who is seeing the team at your institution, and you can control, the members of your team. For us, we have lots of teams. We've created teams for all of our units here. And in order to use Shifts, which is the scheduling feature, you must have a team associated with it. So, and I'll talk about Shifts a little bit later, but so that's why you see we have teams for each of our individual units so that we can set up the student schedules to be used in Shifts. When we created our team, I asked our IT department to create a generic account for us so that as we developed this, it wasn't associated with one individual person. So, for example, if I were to get hit by a bus, things could continue as usual, business as usual with everything that's created in here. So our IT department created a BL Teams account for us. So we use that to do all the initial creation for all of our teams. And when we first started out with this, I created the very first team I created was this library trial team. And that's basically our sandbox. So if you're new to Teams, and even if you're new to Shifts, I'd create a sandbox account where you and some of your colleagues can be a member, and that you can, play around with how all the features work. That worked out really well for us, and we actually learned a lot through that process. When you create a team, Microsoft automatically creates a SharePoint site for that team. Hold on one second here. And so these are the associated SharePoint sites that were created when each time I create a team. And that SharePoint site then can be used to house different documents you want to be able to share with the team. And everything associated with the SharePoint site can be shared within the team itself. So just know when you create a team, you also get a SharePoint site, but it does not work the opposite way. You can create a SharePoint site and you will not have a corresponding team for that SharePoint site. So just so you know that when you create the team, you will get a SharePoint site to go with it. So let's take a look at one of our teams here. This is TLC, and Deepam's going to be talking in more detail about this later. But within the team itself, you can create channels. These are called channels in the left menu, and essentially what they are is sub teams. So when you create a team, you add members, you know, what students and staff you want to be a part of that team. Then if you wanted, you could create a channel that you can pick which members of your team you want to be a part of that channel, and that's called a private channel. So for instance, you might have all your supervisors and your students are members of this team, but you want to have a channel that just the supervisors are members of. That way they can have different posts, communication, documentation that the students aren't going to have access to. So, so we use the channels for information. So Jen had created these competency modules. So we made a competency channel. And these modules are very similar to the different types of diversity training that we all employees had to go through. The students go through these steps and they complete. This one is on personal behavior. We have another one here for problem solving and etc. There are 5 different modules. And when the student completes these, then their supervisor gives them a certificate that they can then use later in life when they're out job searching. They're able to say that I learned these specific competencies from my position at the library. And here's proof that I did this. We have a help one so that they can quickly go here to find different documents for help resources. So you can use these channels in all kinds of different ways. Let's see. Let's look at some tabs along the top. So these are tabs that you can add here. And there's tons of different applications that you can add for quick resources within your team. But going across the top here of the TLC, we have files. Now this is associated again back to that SharePoint site that was created. So from the SharePoint site, we're sharing all these different files so that you have quick access within your team. Staff Notebook is created by Microsoft by default, and I am not able to remove it. We don't use the Staff Notebook yet here. We might down the road. I can't remove it, and you might use it in your team. So Staff Notebook is always there just because I can't remove it. We have, you can add Stream is the video service that Microsoft uses. So if you have a stream video, it's very easy to add videos in here for, again, quick reference for your students. Here we've added a form. This is a form that the TLC students, they complete this when they have an individual come up for service so that they can track data on what they're doing. And on the back of this form, I created a flow that populates an Excel spreadsheet, which is right here, that provides the data from the responses of those forms. So that way they can actually see how they're servicing the patrons. Then we have calendars built into this. This is a TLC calendar where they can post what kind of events they might have going on, a general use calendar. This is actually a Microsoft Office calendar where we keep track of what's going on in the library, you know, cookie sales, things like that. This is coming from LibCal, so you can incorporate that in there. This is another calendar for reserving our group spaces. So this is just an idea of how you can use these different tabs along the top. You can download the desktop app. This is the web version that we're looking at here. But if we go up here to the top, you can download the desktop app, and they also have a mobile app. And we find, especially with moving into shifts clocking, which I'm going to discuss more later, the students really seem to like, and Deepam can attest to this, the students really seem to like the mobile app because it makes it really easy for them to clock in and out of their shifts. So desktop app, mobile app, you can install all of those. And also you can go here to settings, use the ellipsis here and go to settings, and you can change how you want everything to look. You can, and one of the important things is you can change the notifications and how you want to receive different notifications. And you can look through there and you know, change all kinds of different settings, but that's where you would find it in the ellipsis here. Now, if we go along the left menu over here within Teams, we have a couple of options. We have an activity feed, and this is just general activity that might be occurring within your teams, just to give you an idea if somebody gave you a thumbs up or something new was posted. We have chat. Now, what we did is we created group chats for all of our service units. So this is IMC, TLC, and we use these group chats as our main form of communication with the supervisor and the students. And Karen's going to talk a little bit more about this in a moment. But if someone needs to call off because they're sick or their car won't start, the students would go in here and ask if somebody can cover their shift, and they work it out within chat. And what we've found is it works really well because, as you know, when you're trying to use email with students, they get so inundated with email, it just gets buried and they don't pay much attention to it. But with chat, they immediately know that this is work. I need to pay attention. I should take a look at this. So, and it's like texting. So it's more in their environment, more in the world that they're accustomed to using. So we have group chats, and let's see, moving down here, we have teams, and these are all the teams that we have created here. And then if we want to find shifts, and if you're not using shifts, that may not show here, you use the ellipsis and you'll find shifts. And if you right click on it, you can pin that item to the left menu. So it will always be there. So if you right click on any of these, you can unpin or pin them, just for anyone who might not know that. And so before we start with shifts, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to let Karen do a little demo on how she's using this for IMC info, and then we'll come back and we'll take a closer look at shifts. So go ahead and take it away, Karen.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to show you a little bit. I hope this isn't too redundant, but if you go to Teams and you click on, I'm going to click on my section.
We can't see your, you got to share there, Karen.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but we can't see your screen.
I'm very sorry.
That's okay.
1 second, please.
There we go.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so looking at the under the Teams, if I go to the one that I supervise, up the top, I just want to give you an idea of, from a supervisor's point of view and from someone that works with the students directly, some of the feedback that I'm getting from the students. They use this top here to find out, if you click on librarians, the students can find out which librarian is on duty at what time during which day. So if they have a question that needs to be sent to a librarian, they'll know exactly who to go to. The reservations, that Julie touched on. They can show people how they can reserve a room. They're also responsible. These are small group study rooms, and the student workers are responsible to make sure that the right people are in the right. You know, you have two people saying, "Oh, we reserved this room." They can check on here and make sure who has the room, which has been very helpful. There's a general use calendar here. The students use a lot because you'll have someone come into the information desk and say, my teacher said that we're having a digital history class here, but I don't know where it's at. He just said the library. So they can look on here and tell them exactly what room to go to. So that's been very helpful. So if we go back to chats, as Julie has gone over there, these are just some example of the chats that we have. And I'll have to say, as a supervisor, what I really appreciate is having this downloaded on your phone. You can, whenever I make a round every hour and I'm away from my desk, we have multiple floors here, I can get a chat immediately. I'm not one to carry my phone with me, but I do have an Apple Watch, and that also, you know, because I have it downloaded on my phone, it comes up on there as well. So you have immediate connection if somebody needs you, especially when you have multiple floors in your library. It's very helpful. And getting words out like this, you know, to be able to give them the actual application for a scholarship instead of sending them multiple emails or whatever. It's just been very helpful, and the students appreciate it. But what I like is the immediate contact, because there's in the evening, I'm the only supervisor here. And so it's important to me to let everyone feel that they're safe and they can get in touch with me. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Karen. You can stop sharing.
Okay.
And Karen makes a really good point about communication. It does give you, the students can reach out to you instantly. And if you're using the mobile app on your phone, it's really easy to check the schedules for the students as you're walking around the library and you walk up to a unit and somebody isn't there or someone different is there. It's really easy to check the schedule on your phone real quick to see, oh, wait, who was supposed to be here? And, you know, why might they not be here? And so we've used that feature a lot. It's extremely helpful. So let me share my screen here and we'll take a look at shifts. Okay, so I've switched to the desktop version now. So we're looking at teams in the desktop version, and this again is all the teams we have. And remember, you have to have a team in order to create a shift schedule, because it's going to use the membership within that team to establish a schedule within shifts. So again, if you're not finding shifts in your left menu, you use the ellipsis and you can right click on it and pin it. And then we can go to shifts. And if you haven't created a shift for anyone yet, you would do a new schedule, and it's going to list all the teams that you have created. And then you would just pick that team and create a schedule for it. We already have some here, so I'm not going to create one from scratch, but that's what it would look like if you were creating this from scratch. Now, within the schedule, this is IMC info that Karen was just talking about. It's possible to have multiple groups within your schedule. So for Karen, she supervises IMC and she supervises the info desk. So she's got two separate groups here. And the beauty of this, so hold on there.
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for pointing that out, Carol. So when you go to add someone in shifts, if you're not finding them in this list, go, oh, I forgot to add them to the team. So you'll have to go back to the team, add them to the team, and then they'll show up in this list so that you can create a schedule for them within shifts. So this is what Karen's schedule looks like in shifts. And these are all her different students. Now within shifts, we have something called open shifts, which is very handy. So these are times that you don't have anyone working and that you need someone to work. So you post it as an open shift, and then the students can pick that up. And I'll show you that in just a moment. When you're doing the schedule in here, and I'm going to switch to my sandbox team so I don't mess anything up with Karen's schedule and then she'll have to beat me later. When you're adding shifts or the times for students, you can do it in a couple of different ways. So if you want to add time for someone, you can just, this is my sample student that I use. You can just click on the spot that you want to add their time and add their time in here, and you'd hit save. And also, oh, I have unavailable there. Sorry about that. Let me pick a different day here. Also, when you're doing this, when you're adding their schedule, you can add notes to them. So you can say, hey, while you're working your shift today, I need you to do this job for me, whatever that job might be. So then when they'll see that within their shift that you want them to do something particular. So then we save it. And as you're building this schedule, you'll see the little asterisk here. This allows you to build the schedule in draft mode. So your students don't see it yet. So you'll build the schedule and then you're going to share it with them. And when you share it with the team, you can do your entire team. I always recommend people do affected team members only. That's because a lot of times, especially in the beginning of the semester, when your students' schedules are always changing, you might be changing 1 or 2 people to different, and you don't want your entire team to receive a notice that you've made a change to your schedule, because when you do this, they will get a notice that you made a change. And that's good, because say you're posting open schedules or open shifts, you want your entire team to know, oh, you know, there's a couple hours on Saturday that are open, I want to grab it. But if you're making just individual changes, you can do affected team members only. And in that way, only Johnny and Jill will get the notice that you made changes to the schedule. And when you've shared it with the team, the asterisk goes away and this is no longer highlighted in purple. You can also use an Excel spreadsheet. So when you go to the ellipsis and import schedule, it will give you a sample that you can download, an Excel sheet, and it'll have it laid out the way that shifts needs you to import that schedule to them. Then you can upload the file and it will populate all of this for your students. So you can do it with Excel or you can do it manually. You can also, they have a copy schedule. So if you click on copy, it will take what week do you want to copy? And then down here, where do you want to start copying it? And how many weeks? These are weeks, 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks. How many times do you want to copy it out? And it only allows you to do up to 3 weeks doing this method. But it'll allow you to copy that schedule out and it will populate it. You can also change how you can see how you can view the schedule. So right now we're viewing the schedule by person, but sometimes it might be easier to view the schedule by the actual shift. So you can see who's coming in at 8, who's coming in at 11:30. So you can view it by shift and then you click on it and it'll tell you what individual is working that shift. Switch that back to people. Now, let's take a look at from the student's perspective. So again, this is my sandbox and this is my sample student, my BL teams, my sample student. So say the student needs to take some time off, that, you know, they're sick, their car won't start, whatever the case might be. They would click on their scheduled time and they would go to, swap or offer. Now, this is where the group chats that we talked about earlier come in handy, and that what Karen was showing you, how the students chatter back and forth. Because if they want to swap, which means trade, or if they want to just give their shift to someone else, they need to know before they get to this point who they're going to do that with. So they go to the group chat and they say, oh, I've got a wedding next Saturday. Who can cover my shift for me? They work it out in the group chat. Then they come here and they either do a swap or an offer. And when that comes up, it asks them, okay, what shift are we talking about? They pick whatever shift. And then when they do the drop down, now, mind you, this is my sandbox. So I only have a handful of people in here, but this will list all the people that are in the team that are available that can be working that shift. But they already know, because they worked it out in the chat, who they want to swap or offer with, and they pick that person, and then they send that request in. Now, depending on if they're doing a swap or an offer, it goes to that individual, the other student. This request goes to that person, that other student, for their approval. So if Johnny and Jill are going to swap and Johnny sends it to Jill, Jill has to approve it within teams or within shifts. And when Jill approves it, then it's going to go to their supervisor for final approval. And we can take a quick peek here at the supervisor. So I'm actually going to pop into Karen's, because her students do this a lot. And if we take a look at request, we can see that here's all these different requests that Karen has received between students for different time off, and they can put a note in there what the reason is that they need the time off. So it works very smoothly, and you know that everyone is on board because it has gone to the student that they want to swap or offer with first before it even gets to the supervisor. And it kind of takes a lot of that juggling out of the supervisor's responsibility, because now the students have worked all that out in the beginning. They've worked it all out between themselves, and they've got it figured out, and now they're presenting it to you for final approval. Let's see, let me go back to the schedule here, the open shifts that we were talking about. So these are shifts that, you know, you need someone to fill. You know, somebody called off, you move their hours to an open shift, or especially at the beginning of the semester when students' schedules are moving all around, you post it to an open shift. And this, again, this is the sandbox, and this is the student's perspective. They go, oh, I want to grab those extra hours on Saturday. They click on it and they do request. And then that request goes automatically and shifts to the supervisor for their approval. And if the supervisor approves it, it automatically gets posted onto the student's schedule. So the supervisor doesn't even have to do anything beyond going in and hitting approve. Then it will be automatically put on the student's schedule. So like Jen had mentioned, a fairly new feature that we're going to is clocking within shifts. So this is actually a time clock. So this is the web version that we're looking at here, and Deepam's going to go into more detail about this in just a moment. But when the student comes in, they would clock in here. They clock in, I'm ready for my shift. Sorry, clock in, ready for my shift. And now it starts a timer, and this will start clocking down the amount of time that they're on their shift. And then on the supervisor's end, they're able to pull a report for that. But again, Deepam's going to go into more detail in just a minute about this. But we've piloted this with Deepam's area, which is TLC and print management, and it's going well. So this summer, we plan on rolling this feature out to the rest of the units within the library, because again, it is free. It doesn't require the students to remember any other passwords because they're using their Office 365 account. It's web-based. So if we lose electric, we don't have to worry about turning on any servers or anything like that. So it works ties in very nicely with what we're already using. But with that said, I know we're getting close on time here. I'm going to turn this over to Deepam to give you a quick show of that. So let me stop my share here. All right.
All right, hi folks. I'm going to share my screen. Is everyone able to see it? Okay. So this is the schedule for my print management department. So as you can see, it has all the students listed, and it has all their shifts that they have for the week. I like the weekly view of the schedule. You can always switch it from here. as well. And there's different options here, but this makes it easier for you to see all the shifts for that week per student. And then, as you've noticed, there's a couple of students that have been sick. So they put the request in, and then it comes to me, I approve it, and it auto-populates into this nice schedule. This is the desktop app. I'm gonna bounce to the mobile version in a minute, but I wanna show the request a bit. So when the requests come in, as Julie kind of stated, kind of rehashing it, they pop in here, and then you just go ahead and approve or decline the request. The other nice thing I want to touch on is that you can leave little notes up here. So for example, we started opening our library hours to 10, extending them to 10 o'clock starting yesterday. So I left a note here for the students so that they know that this is starting. So that's a nice feature that they have. The other nice thing is to clock in. Now this is through the desktop app. They hit the clock in. You can also do breaks as well. If the student is working extended hours, they can take a break, clocking in and clocking out from here. The other nice thing is you can export reports from here. And I'll touch a bit on that in a moment, but I want to show you the mobile version real quick. So I'll show you this little video here. I'm gonna play it. And okay, give me 1 second. So as you can see here in the video, that this brings up their shifts. And you click on the time clock right here. I'll show that in a couple of minutes. And once they click on the time clock, a clock will pop up. And then they will have to hold it down. And it's better to use the phones versus doing it on the computers, because sometimes it takes time to catch up. So as you can see, it popped up right here. And you'll have to hit the button right here. You have to hold it down, and then their shift has begun. Now to stop it, use the red button right here. You have to hold it down, and that will complete their shift. And the nice thing about the break is in here that they're able to use that, and they don't have to clock out for their break. They just hit the break button right here, and it does it. And when they come back in, they hit it again. Here, it gives them all the hours that they've worked, and they can confirm or edit it. Now, once they have edited it, I get a notification that, hey, you're supposed to work this shift and it's something different. So you can always make the corrections and you know if they've made any changes. So stop this video. And then I want to show you the reports. So for payroll purposes, reports download into your downloads folder. And then once they download here, I opened up a report to show you. It has all the reports for that pay period. And then as you can see here, it has it in order of the date. And then you have the student's name. You have the time they clocked in, when they clocked out. And then this is their shift right here. They started their shifts from 12 to 2. So it's nice that it has that, and it has all the hours that they've worked. And if they've taken a break, it will pop up over here in Salo. So that's kind of nice to have that whenever you're doing payroll. It's nice and easy and very efficient. And then another added feature is they have the original report where if they've made any changes, it comes in red, as you can see. This shows that they had altered the time. So then you need to ask them why that was done. You'll be able to do that. And then this is the final, which I was showing you initially. I want to show you one other thing, actually. This is the SharePoint site that Julie and Jen were talking about. And we made one for the TLC, for the Technology Learning Center, and has a lot of great resources on there that student patrons can access at any time. So we have our lovely title, put our mural on here, have our mission statement. And these are all the upcoming TLC workshops that we have listed through 4 that students can RSVP and show up to. And a couple of other links we had for request forms. If students want certain workshops or faculty want them, they click on this link or hit the QR code and they're able to fill the form out. And then we have a TLC suggestion form as well. If there's certain software that students need for a class to do their assignments, they're able to fill this form out and then we're able to send that to IT to get that software installed. So that's kind of the gist of what we're working on. So thank you. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. And hand it over to you guys again.
Okay, so we will move into our Q&A. I do want to say that that there are lots of training resources that are available online. And we also have made numerous training videos that we are willing to share if you just want to email us, and we'd be happy to share them out, especially with Julie. But yeah, if we want to take some time, if anyone has any specific questions or things that you would like to know.
Is there a feature that if they're swapping shifts that there's a maximum of 8 hours a week that they can work, or is that anything you've
So
talked
you mean
about?
it will kind of control how many hours they're working. It won't let them work any more than like 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a control. It does show you, let me look at Karen's here. We'll show you. Jen, I'm going to share screen.
Okay, let me stop.
As you're building the student schedule, it will show you, you can see here, 6 hours, 5 hours. So it'll show you how many hours the student is working, but there's no control feature. Because remember, Microsoft built this for, all types of enterprises,
Sure.
right? So, probably in most enterprises, they want you to work as much as as much as you want, as much as you can. So that would be anti, but yeah, to my knowledge, there isn't anything like that. But that's a good question, Carol.
Thanks.
Are there
Anyone
any
else?
other questions that anybody had? I don't think I'm seeing anything in chat. It did take a while, I will say, to get going because it's something different and you got to get everybody on board. But Karen does a fabulous job with her student workers, and Deepam as well. It's really unbelievable how smooth it has become. And I think we've achieved a lot of the goals that I was talking about in the beginning, better communication and better way to communicate updates and things like that.
I'm really impressed by all this. I'm hoping we'll be able to implement it here at some point. So I'll be reaching out to Julie in the future.
Yeah. There's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, to get us to this point. So especially when you're working with, a lot of different supervisors and personalities and students, and yeah, so but it's become a very useful tool for us.
Yeah, we've definitely seen, like I said, the benefits that we were trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and for listening to our presentation. And I know Nathan had asked if people could fill out the evaluation form. I hope you have that available, because I'm not sure if I have that available to stick on the.
It's on the Google Doc of the schedule at
Okay.
the top.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ginger.
All right, take care, everybody, and have a great day.